Starting with a multi-Hall of Famer, Todd Dodge at Lovejoy High School, who is, of course, entering the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, already in the High School Football Hall of Fame. He joins us on 365 Sports with Craig and Paul, and I'm David Smoke. Coach, great to have you on. We appreciate you being a part of the show. I know it's a big week, big weekend. What does this one mean compared to anything else where you've been honored?
Well, first of all, good afternoon, David, and thank y'all for having me on. I sure appreciate it. This one is they all are such a blessing, but this one was quite a surprise. When I was fortunate enough to go into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame back in, I think it was 2005. I was fortunate to play around a lot of good teammates, and we did some things that had never been done before, and so I was kind of the beneficiary of that, and then also was still pretty relevant in the sport with my coaching career, so that kind of made sense. But this one, I guess it's a little bit of everything, and I tell you, as I reflect on it, and as I look forward to Saturday night to address the crowd and do all the thank yous, the one guy that comes to mind to me most of all is Brent Duhan. Mm-hmm. And Brent is my dear friend and teammate at Port Arthur. And you think back about how did all of this start? I'm probably going in to the Texas Sports Hall of Fame more on my coaching credentials than my playing credentials. Definitely from not necessarily at the college level, but Brent and I were beneficiaries of a guy named Ronnie Thompson, and we kind of, because we played for him, we were kind of pioneers in the passing game. And I reflect back on Brent and his career, and now that I've been in the industry of football, I mean, since I graduated from high school, since I was 17 years old, there's not a year that's gone by that I haven't been involved in the game of either high school football or college football. And so that's what I've done. And so I look at Brent and his season in 1980, and he caught 93 footballs for over 1,200 yards and 19 touchdowns in 1980. And I just thank the good Lord that he was my teammate.
Yeah, that's a bunch back in the day. That's before it really opened up. There were some, but not at that prolific at the high school level.
That is dynamic. That's elite in 2024, 2025. Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty special.
Coach, what was the first offense you coached? And what is the offense you coach now, and how different has it changed over this long coaching career of yours?
Well, when I was assistant coach at Rockwall and at McKinney, so my first 5 years were at those two schools. We based out of the I formation, probably a pro style, look. I was. But as it evolved through the years, in my third year at McKinney, I worked for Ron Poe. You and I have talked about this before. I mean, I never would have been where I am today without him. And you always know that you coach for some good people if they have stadiums named after them. And so Coach Poe does. Mm-hmm. But he allowed me and the rest of our offense staff in 1990 to put the spread offense in. And really the spread offense at that time was a little bit of a combination of what we were doing at Port Arthur in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and what the University of Houston was doing with the run and shoot. As it's gone through the years, I tell people all the time, when I was at South Lake, there was probably 4 schools in the state of Texas that were winning championships and doing it probably past first, and that was Ennis, that was Stephenville, mm-hmm. that was South Lake Carroll, that was Highland Park. And I'm not saying there weren't some other people doing it, but all of us were doing it in a tempo, kind of get the chalk last kind of deal. thrown it a bunch, and there have been people that had thrown it a bunch, but I don't think anybody had ever won state championships doing it that way until those four over about a 10-year window did it multiple times. And so I think that was something that, and then now, as I spent my 8 years at Westlake, and now that I'm at Lovejoy, the offense that we ran at McKinney 30 years ago is probably still about 65%. What I ran at South Lake Carroll, there's a whole lot of semblance of it still here at Lovejoy. We're just, when I was at South Lake, the last 5 years, we played 80 games in 5 years. That's the most that you humanly can play in 5 years. And we never lined up with a tight end, and we never lined up at a two-back set for 80 games, and we won 79 of them. So we were a little bit ahead of the curve at that time. And then, we've had to adjust, with what we're doing. We're a little bit more two-back now, but still trying to stay, be a team that stays balanced and in the run and pass.
So, Coach, things change over time. You've been around the high school game a long time, and things just in general change. We're seeing changes galore in the college game, as you know. Has Texas high school football been able to properly maintain its spirit? Does it feel like it's pretty much the same game that, despite the X's and O's maybe being different, that you started in? Or is that too, having to be careful of outside changes, outside influences in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's I just continue to do what we've always done as far as reminding myself, first of all, my coaching staff and our players, is take inventory of things that we can control. There are a lot of things in our industry right now that I am glad to see in change. That I don't want to be that guy. It's the old guy that's saying get off my lawn. But there's other things that just kind of breaks my heart a little bit to see it the way that it is. It's change. The way there probably were guys when I was playing football and coaching football in my early years, people were going, guys, this is not what football was intended to look like. Not be throwing it 35 times a game. But so. Most of the stuff that's changed, it's not the on the field play, it's the off the field stuff that just kind of is bizarre. I hate, and even at the high school level right now, it seems to almost be there's like a trend to people are looking for the transfer portal at the high school level.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not, I'm just like, that's crazy. Yeah, there's articles written about, and people keep up with, how many offers someone has, and they keep up with, it's like, and where someone's going to, so, we still, at our places, it's kind of one of those deals. Don't get me wrong, everybody that's ever coached anywhere will always be excited about if someone good moves to their school. That's a good player is going to make them better. Let's call it what it is. But we'd like for it to happen a little bit more organically than it does sometimes.
You, of course, were there, Cade Klubnik at Westlake, and then, of course, you went into kind of a quasi-retirement. You still were very heavily involved with camps, and then took over the job at Lovejoy last year. When you saw him, there was a time when he was young at Clemson, and it seemed like Clemson was also not so sure who they are, and the changes in college football maybe had Dabo a little bit confused. He seemed last year, Klubnik, to turn on the jets that everybody expected him to be. Is that what you saw too?
No doubt. And it doesn't surprise me with him. First of all, he is a tremendous young man of faith. He's got everything in perspective. I think you and I have talked about before when Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers started recruiting him, I knew that it was done. And he had 25 offers. But I knew enough about Dabo. I'd met him before. I knew that they were kindred spirits, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But but Cade has always been, and I've had him really in my program since he was in the 5th grade. And I've never seen kids that talented that when you have someone that's that talented as a 7th grader, when he was in 7th grade, very, very talented young quarterback, their ability to improve usually doesn't happen at the rate that you would have expected. With him, he always improved. He was never willing to settle for the same as he did the year before or how good he was the year before. And so that's really kind of what makes him a special competitor. And it's kind of, you can kind of follow that at Clemson with him. And he in a smaller world, it was kind of what he did, when we were at Westlake, the spring of his, he played on the freshman team as a freshman. He suited up with the varsity that spring, and he took his lumps and got his little knocked off during spring ball and never complained about it. And then he played as a sophomore, was part of a quarterback, trio that led a team and a community to its first state championship since 1996. And then and he had a big part in that as a sophomore. And then as a junior and senior, the kid was he started 6 games as a sophomore, and he started 14 games as a junior. So there's 20, and he started 16 games as a senior. So do the math. There's 30. He was 36-0 as a starting quarterback in high school. So I've seen him play hurt. I've seen him understand the difference between pain and injury. I've seen him will his team to wins. He's very versatile. He's now getting some size to him. He's always been kind of tall. He's always been a 6'2" kid, but now he's 210 pounds now. He's not that little, scrawny 175 pounder.
If you walked into a job and any one of your former players was there, and knowing what they could do, who would it be that you would say, okay, we're going to be fine starting the job here?
Riley Dodge.
Good, and you made that one. You literally made him. Well,
Yeah.
50% of it.
That's blood.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just the and again, he's not the big, but the whole package of the ability to move the ball with your feet, with your arm, and then the knowledge, the football IQ. Now, I'm saying that because when you're just saying he probably wouldn't be the most impressive looking one that I've ever coached on the hoof, but if I could look in that crystal ball and know what he has in his mind and how fast he can run and how accurately he can throw the ball, and yeah, that would be the one you'd say, yeah, we're going to be okay to start a program with.
Coach, you've coached so many players, as we're talking about, so many greats. But a guy this past season that you had firsthand experience in helping coach up that made a huge impact was Michael Taft for Texas. I know there's, you talk about Quinn Ewers and this and that, Cade Klubnik, the big matchup with you and Riley years ago with those two quarterbacks. But Michael Taft and the All-American season, the walk-on story, just all of that. How early did you see what everybody is now seeing in Michael Taft, and what's it like to see him just embrace his role and become the player that he's becoming on a big stage?
Well, he's such a great story for guys like me that, because he was one that when he was in the 7th grade was on the B team. And when he was in the 8th grade, he was on the B team. When he was in the 9th grade, he was on the B team. It wasn't because he wasn't a good player. He just wasn't very big. I mean, he was always a good little athlete. And I knew him from the time he was in probably 6th grade because his older brother was my backup quarterback to Sam Ellinger. When Sam was a sophomore, his older brother was a senior backup quarterback. And so I knew the Taft family. I knew Mookie. through all those years. But when he started to grow, that athleticism came with the growth. And then just an absolute junkyard dog mentality between the white lines, like no other. That is the thing that you see that a lot of people don't see. You see a really good-looking kid, very well-spoken kid that's a great ambassador for Westlake football, the University of Texas and everything. But if anybody had followed him through his junior high days, his sub-varsity, and then obviously his varsity days at the at Westlake, you would have seen the heart and soul of a team and the biggest competitor out of a whole bunch of, strong competitors. But I love the story about him because I'm able to tell people now, like, I've got kids in Rockham that, maybe in middle school, when it comes time to figure out whether you're going to be on the A team or the B team, that's always a point of contention with parents sometimes. They always get a little bent out of shape when junior doesn't make the A team.
Yep.
And I just tell them stories about all kinds. I tell them a story about Greg McElroy. I tell them a story about Clint Renfro. I tell them a story about Michael Taft. This guy, he went from being a B teamer in the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade to being the 2-time defensive player of the game in the state championship, one at corner and one at safety. And the other thing people don't remember is, he turned into our high school version of Travis Hunter in the 2020 playoffs. I moved him to wide receiver the last 2 or 3 district ball games, and he was very productive per the amount of snaps he played. And then for the entire playoffs, he played Z probably 25 to 30 snaps a game. An outside receiver for us, and caught. He caught upward of 35 balls just in the playoffs. So, matter of fact, he caught a pass that pretty much put us in position to beat North Shore in that game, that great game at Katy ISD Stadium.
Todd, we appreciate your time. We'll see you this Saturday. Look forward to it, and you and I'll be in touch the rest of the week. But was there a time, because it wasn't always easy, you had that opportunity at McKinney, then you were an assistant at North Texas, and eventually went back there as a head coach, but things weren't easy early on for you in coaching. Did you ever question yourself that you were in the wrong business, even though this has been in your blood for a long time?
No, I didn't. I had great mentors for me to be able to keep my head up. But, at Cameron, at Newman Smith, at Fossil Ridge, all of them, the second year was better than the first year in all 3 of those. Now, that's not necessarily to write home about, but you could see progress happening. We could see ourselves making a difference with kids. And I always tell people, I said, I never planned on being a guy that was 2 and done in my first 3 jobs. Going somewhere else is just one of those that, I took the Cameron Yo job because Cameron Yo, when I was in Austin, Texas as a player, I knew of Cameron, even though it was a little big town. And it was close enough to Austin, and it was a really good traditional high school football town. Boom. Take it. Second of all, the next week I went to Newman Smith. Everybody in 3 counties told me, don't take that job. I was just hard-headed enough to take it. I'll be honest with you, got my wife back to close so she could finish college. That's why I took the job, so I could get her close to University of North Texas. I loved my 2 years there. I absolutely loved it there. And then Fossil Ridge, I went back to work for Dennis Parker and opened Fossil Ridge, so I was one that opened a school. But that was the one that, the no-brainer was that when South Lake Carroll came calling after the Fossil Ridge deal. And that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about on Saturday night is just thanking Bob Ledbetter at South Lake Carroll for being the guy that stood up and hired me at a place where, I can promise you this, there were a lot of other people that were in the hunt for the South Lake job that had a lot better resume coaching than I did at the time.
Last question from me. You have stepped away on occasion, including after Westlake with the great dynamic run, and then you got back into it. And I can share this. You and I talked on the phone when you started to get a little antsy again. Is it just something you can't walk away from?
Yeah, it's just, it is, I mean, yeah, it really is. And it's just one, I was around the game for the 2 years I was out, and I put myself around the game enough. Not that I'm just one of those guys. When I retired, I'm never going to, I'm not going to be someone who's going to go sell something. You know, but I need to be doing something.
Right.
And really all I know how to do is coach. I don't fish very good. I do like to play golf. I'm not very good, but I do like to play. I'd make a horrible salesman for something, you know. So, you know, I mean, I think all of us as coaches, we need to circumvent, so to speak, if that's a term, our you know, our salaries and stuff and so that's part of, you know, that's what I do. I mean, I'm going to do this for another probably 4 or 5 years, and then I'm going to really retire and enjoy the rest of my life. But I'm absolutely loving it here where we are. I'm starting to be where I understand that I can't wear as many hats as I used to. Mm-hmm. I just can't. I can't be athletic director, head football coach, play caller, and quarterback coach all at the same time. So I've got great assistants around me, and I'm able to do some either further delegating, and that's going to be a good thing.
Todd, thank you, man. Great to talk to you again. And we'll see you Saturday at the press conference and also Saturday night at the induction. This is different than, I mean, the High School Hall of Fame is about as good as it gets in the state of Texas, but this is when everybody is from all sports, men and women, and this one here, what a great honor for you, and we're proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Smoke, I appreciate you. Always
too.
Great friendship.
You too.
Thank you.
Todd Dodge, he's the head coach at Lovejoy. They had a nice run his first year. They'll get better, like he said, in the second year. They always do get better, but started out at Texas after a great run at Jefferson High School in Port Arthur before he became the quarterback. He and Brett Duhon became quite the tandem.